Right now, thousands of calcium ions are dictating your sense of self. This isn't some abstract idea. It is hard biophysics governing how awareness functions. The difference between fragmented thought and deep integration comes down to the precision with which electrical signals synchronize across massive swaths of neural tissue. Think of global coherence like a perfect wave in an ocean, where every particle moves together under one unified pattern. Your moment-to-moment ability to feel connected, the web we experience, is simply this electrochemistry at work. These synchronized movements are governed by specific ion channel dynamics that architecture the entire state of your consciousness. The feeling that our inner life feels localized, trapped in a small circuit, that's where the mechanism really gets mind-blowing. We often think of neurons as simple wires, but it is the intricate choreography of tiny ion channels inside them that dictates global awareness. Think of these channels not just like switches, but like dynamic tuning forks coordinating an entire orchestra. They govern massive synchronized wave patterns across the brain. This coordination creates what we experience as a unified sense of self. Stable resting membrane potentials provide the fundamental baseline tension needed for sustained thought itself. It is truly bioelectrical architecture at work, building consciousness from electrochemical detail up to holistic integration. We always thought consciousness was about localized bursts of activity, a series of discrete signals firing off in specific places. But that view is too small. What if the real mechanism isn't individual firing patterns, but global electrical synchronization? Think of it less like a network of separate computers and more like an orchestra where every instrument must hit its cue at exactly the same moment to create harmony. That synchronized rhythm, mediated by highly precise ion channels allowing mass information flow across vast brain regions, is what links our local thoughts into one cohesive awareness field. Which means something nobody expected for how we define a unified sense of self. But this synchronization isn't static. It's constantly reshaping us. Imagine your brain isn't just a series of switches flipping on off like light bulbs, but more like an incredibly vast symphony orchestra. The conductor is the ion channel itself, those tiny gates regulating flow. These micro adjustments in voltage are what allow all those localized sounds across different cortical regions to merge into one unified piece of music, which we interpret as global awareness. Think of it like a massive electrical grid that suddenly optimizes its load balance for maximum coherent power transfer. We know this mechanism exists, but some critics argue these oscillations are merely noise, not fundamental information carriers. What if the stability required for self-reference, that ground state you feel in quiet contemplation, is entirely dependent on perfect pump stoichiometry? The shift from chaos to profound integration depends on maintaining that precise chemical balance across every single synapse. The brain doesn't just fire signals, it sings them together. Think of cortical regions not like isolated computers, but like instruments in a vast orchestra. What enables that collective harmony is something incredibly subtle: the precise ebb and flow of ions across every cell membrane. These ion channels act as dynamic gates, managing excitability so finely that localized spikes become synchronized waves, what scientists call gamma coupling. This coherence allows information to jump massive distances within your mind, connecting what felt separate moments ago into a unified experience. But when those fundamental ionic balances shift, the whole system reorganizes itself instantly. The gate opens and closes faster than you can blink, setting the stage for something far beyond mere thought. What happens after that threshold is crossed? What if our deepest sense of self isn't about individual thoughts, but about systemic resonance? We used to think consciousness was built piece by tiny electrical spark, localized in specific circuits. But the data suggests something far stranger is happening at the membrane level itself. Imagine a massive conductor whose notes are not written down. They simply arise from the perfect balancing of its fundamental materials. That balance isn't static, it's dynamic tension governed entirely by ion flux. The architecture of our awareness, that sense of wholeness, might just be a sophisticated feedback loop between these cellular gatekeepers. If stability requires such delicate equilibrium, what happens when one single channel shifts? We need to see how that shift fundamentally alters reality itself. The true resolution isn't finding a single neural switch, it is understanding the conductor of the system itself. Think of your brain not as millions of isolated light bulbs, but as an enormous, finely tuned electrical grid. The ion channels are that architecture. They don't just let information pass, they tune it globally, allowing all those disparate parts to resonate together into a single field of awareness. Your takeaway is this: when you seek deep understanding in your own state, stop looking for the local glitch and start observing the systemic harmony. That global coherence is where meaning lives. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com. The architecture of awareness isn't built from isolated thoughts. It emerges dynamically, like a complex symphony where every single instrument is perfectly tuned by the underlying electrical currents. Imagine your consciousness not as a static photograph, but as water flowing through an intricate network. The ion channels are the gates controlling that flow. When these subtle bioelectrical mechanisms coordinate globally, we experience systemic coherence. The takeaway here is this: when you feel truly integrated, recognize it's evidence of massive internal synchronization at play, not just random feeling. Start paying attention to those moments of deep connectedness. They are your brain optimizing its global state. The full research archive is at jmthomasofficial.com.